Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the TechIT podcast. Today is October 30th of 2021. I'm one of your hosts, Gregory, and here with my friend Mike. Here are some of the top headlines we're going to talk about today. Facebook getting a name change. We got Apple's system talking about trying to give us some more transparency on what their apps look into in terms of our information.
11 worst features of Windows 11 and how to fix them. A teenager's engineering computer, flat pack PC case. It's a little bit pricey, but we'll get to that. And some more about computer worms and some hacker groups later on in the show.
Right on. So, Mike, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Having a good day, getting some stuff done. Enjoying the weather down here in Florida. It's gorgeous still.
Of course.
How are you doing?
I've been good. Just hanging in there a bit. As well, long story short, viewers, I was recently released from my job due to budget cuts, which you think that would happen during the beginning of COVID, but it happened to me recently. But I'm getting by, and I just want to let everyone know that don't be afraid to just keep trying and market yourself out there to ventures that even you're just slightly curious about.
Yeah, you'll find
But
another job, no problem. You're a hard worker. But let's
yeah.
go ahead and jump into the news today with Facebook's new name, Meta.
Yeah, so this was announced just 2 days ago. I'm covering this from TheVerge.com. If you want to look at this story yourself, I'll link this and all the other stories in the description of our videos or our SoundCloud links and what have you that we release after this recording. But yeah, the company or Mr. Zuckerberg announced Thursday that at his company's own Connect event that its new name of its Facebook product will be Meta because, as we said before in previous podcasts, and perhaps you've probably heard about it as well, listeners, that he wants to create a metaverse. So, hence the name change or rebranding rather to Meta. So, Mike, first, what do you think of Meta? Just META as a name change for something like Facebook.
You know, I kind of like it. It's kind of short. I think it could have gone a lot of different ways here. Off the top of my head, he could have gone with the verse. He could have gone with like new space or uh face space. I don't know. There's just so many possibilities here, but it's kind of interesting. Um, I'm kind of more interested to see what they're doing with this new push, like what their plans are, um, moving forward with this name, and how does this affect them? Is this kind of like, hey, we're hiding from the past, or is this, hey, we're trying to push to the future?
I think that's a little bit of both as we've mentioned previously in other podcasts, or you may have watched yourself on your mom or dad's favorite show, 60 Minutes, where this is in response to they find it to be oddly timing to the amount of backlash they got from the uh, the amount of scrutiny they've been under ever since the Facebook papers got released on Monday of this week, where multiple news outlets published further details of these Facebook papers that were disclosed to the Securities and Exchange Commission and provided Congress, in redacted form about how the user base has been aging and that apparently they showed that Facebook had a tiered system to prioritize which countries would receive enhanced protections around elections, which is that's a bit scary. So
Agreed.
with this Meta announcement, I think it is a bit of both of what you said, Mike, as like kind of a cover up, but also like try to just build up like what their new idea is going forward, as Mr. Zuck puts it. This is a reimagining as a way to effectively transition from people seeing us as a primarily being a social media company to being a metaverse company, which as its own idea is bold, but it's not a new idea, as Second Life has been out for how long? I think over 15 years. I think Second Life has been around, if I'm right, and that has a sort of same feel to it of like an online community where you can talk about work and stuff, as well as VR and AR being done regularly and better almost by other companies. But
Well,
in
I think there's a lot of potential in it moving forward, and I'd like to see how they handle uh the slew of new problems it's going to create. Is because I know they're pushing into this new space, and they're gonna have a lot of
metaverse,
struggles. Um, but I hope that they push away from this whole self identity thing and push more towards just people trying to connect and just from especially from like where we're at right now from this huge distance between us.
greatly so, because people are still feeling the effects of everything since the pandemic started and just divisions in general, thanks to the media being able to monetize division and hate. But that's just
Speaking of
something.
monetizing things, should we go ahead and move into our next topic about Apple and how they're monetizing, or well, how they were monetizing and how their new system tells us what data they're receiving.
Right. So this story is also can be found on TheVerge.com, and I should mention also you can even listen to this article as well if you're in that mood as well. In addition to that, what have you? So they had an announcement at this WWDC event where they have the Apple App Privacy Report release as it's going to make its way into iPhones with its first release of iOS 15.2. So look out for that if you're an Apple user or iPhone user out there, listeners. The new screen in settings gives users an overview of what information their apps have access to and what they're sharing. So this is again helpful for the whole transparency issue that many big tech companies have been getting scrutinized for not being transparent as sometimes they're about as transparent as a black piece of paper. So when people ask them like, how do you monetize this stuff? What do you do with our data? And they're just saying, it's safe. It's just safe, guys. Just trust us. Come on. Stop bugging us. Look over there. It's a Amazon's in trouble, not Apple anymore. Look at them. Like, oh, well, what? And then they get by. As this report also will show you which other web domains the app contacted, or such an like let's say like you're using Tinder or Grinder or a fitness app. This will show you which other web domains those apps contacted and lets you compare that with the sites you visited directly in said app to give you a better idea of who could be seeing your data. And there's an image here in this article that I wish I can show you here, but since it's a podcast, I can't. It's in this article, but I
Well,
would say it's a thorough report.
I think it's a good start. I think this is Apple saying, "Hey, transparency is important to people, and let's get this thing started." I think there needs to be more. I think they need to push it not only in other companies, but I think more information on what data is going to who, where, what, and how they're using it. And like from the screenshot they have here, it's kind of just giving you, oh, this is the app and this is the location. This is what here's what we gave out. We gave out location, we gave out photos, and blah blah blah. So it kind of lists what they gave out, but they didn't. Like I think you have to go dig deeper to find out to where this is going, and that's kind of what we need to know. And I think it's a good start, and I would like to see more from them.
Yeah, because the report, well, I said looks kind of neat for maybe, for lack of a better word, muggles to understand,
Hmm.
as it tells you website, number of trackers, but I think they should let you, from this report, just say you want to opt out of having these trackers in the website.
Agreed.
Like, just have
Agreed.
like a way to just have a one spot area where you can just say no. Because this is part of many, or not many, a couple of Apple's other privacy initiatives that While this might sit well with people, others haven't sat well with other developers as there's been infighting in a way between both Facebook and Snapchat as their finance reports from quarter 3 haven't turned out that well as they blame iPhone's ad tracking transparency feature for missed revenue goals, which sure, it's just big tech companies complaining that they're not getting enough money
Yeah.
because they added a feature to iPhone starting to well now realize that oh well, we should give people a way to have ads not track their stuff. Huh. Look at that.
Yeah. And I
And
think moving forward, more options to prevent ads from tracking our stuff and just maybe to opt out and maybe to receive money or some kind of credit for letting these apps be so invasive or maybe having different levels of invasiveness as an option. Because like if 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 something's less invasive but I get less features, I might still use it or maybe because like I don't know. Because right now it feels like you're installing something and like, well, I want access to your camera, your photos, your and they're listing crazy amounts of stuff. And when you install this, you're like, I just want to use this app maybe
yeah,
one or two times. Um,
it'll be just like you're looking up a recipe for like the other day my mother was looking up a recipe for pumpkin bread and asked her permission for a microphone and her speakers to have the video play. It's like, why are you asking that? I just want she's a literal learner and she just wants the paper recipe on your site.
yeah, I think more options and yeah,
We'll look into this more as we go on as Apple's starting to maybe listen to people.
we'll see. I think it's a good start. But moving forward, let's go into software and let's talk about Windows 11 worst features and how to fix them. So, just starting off in this section, guys, a lot of this is like preferences, just kind of like having the old feel of Windows 10. Um, there are some big ones though, which we'll get into. So the first one is the drop down from when you right click something. There's everything's a little bit more compact, but you don't have as many options there. So normally when you like right click the file and you went to open it with, let's say you use Notepad plus plus, it would just come up as open with Notepad plus plus or edit with Notepad plus plus. Now you have to go into an open list drop down, and it's more than one click, which may frustrate people. So I'm not going to go into all the fixes because you guys can look up the whole article on Tom's Hardware. Um,
.com.
yeah, Tom's Hardware.com. But a lot of these are fixed with pretty simple stuff. I
That
think
the piece goes in detail over as this is an operating system that again just released like less than 4 weeks ago, and still not everyone's like hopped on the bandwagon to get the latest OS because again, while they still have plenty of time to get this operating system until they turn the lights off on Windows 10 in 2024. But
I
there's this
forget how you change this, but I think it's like Shift F10 or something. But like, there's a way to change this option, and a lot of these are just things that you have to go into the registry and change.
yeah, more of these are very UI based, such as all these again are based on what Windows 11 has done with its new look and presence, which includes the start menu taking up too much space compared to the old one, as well as particular ones such as you not being able to resize the taskbar, which for non-techies out there, it's the bar at the bottom of the screen when you open a computer or desktop or Windows desktop. It has all the icons on the bottom, and it has the date and the time on the bottom right corner. So you can't resize that. Sorry. And you also can't move it either.
That's kind of frustrating because I sometimes I move it just based on what I'm doing, what kind of work. So um, there's also the ribbon. There's a change to the ribbon where you can't. Uh, I think it's like hide options.
Yeah. Strict hardware requirements as well, which that's gonna hurt few people that like to mod out their stuff around old older software pieces such as old DirectX versions as well as some apps requiring now TPM 2.0, which I don't know on the grander scale how that's gonna affect too many things as I don't mod my computer that much as I'm literally recording this on my laptop here. I just
One
got
one that frustrated me a lot was the fact that the weather widget, it doesn't kind of show all the information. You have to kind of like open it. Because I like having all my weather information on the taskbar. I don't have to like click it for. I mean, you click it for full information, but like it gives you all the essentials right there without having to click.
yeah, because some people just want the weather information immediately in case like they're in a rush and they don't have time to go to a weather app or a weather website or go to the news and wait for the weather segment, which
Agreed. Agreed.
that's very taxing
Especially if
for
you're
someone.
like heading out to work and you just look at your PC, you can see what to wear or whatever based on what the temperature is, and it'll tell you like the degree to fair. If it's like it'll tell you degrees in Fahrenheit, and it'll tell you if it's cloudy or whatever, or rainy or any of that stuff. So that's going to be a loss, but there's a way to change it. You can check it out on Tom's Hardware. I think it's just you can install Weather Bar or Weather Bug, whatever, or a widget, and then there's OneDrive by default, which I know a lot of people are resisting OneDrive. I am one of those people, but
Come on, man. What are you gonna make? Are you gonna
I'm
try to
so
make two
used to just
drive?
using Google Drive that I don't want to use something new. I have used it in the past
Ah,
though, so
yeah.
it's not like I've never used it. I'm not a fan of it. I think once
Mm.
it gets easier to use, or just more like, I think it needs to be like easier just to like auto send something there, like have some more built-in options.
Or just make it not default.
Yeah,
Just
more options is always better.
competition is the American way, so the more competition, the better. And putting stuff on by
Agreed.
default kind of makes that harder, such as them putting Microsoft Edge as the default browser.
Well, the last one is wallpaper, and it's another default wallpaper. And I think they need to push like active wallpapers. Like you know how some people have like a video as their, or just like a moving background wallpaper.
Yeah,
I think they need to push those as default wallpapers.
interesting.
Um, I think I mean a lot of them are nice that are in there, but I think if they want to push their system into the future, they need to start making video ones.
Well,
'Cause
Tom,
have you seen some of the video ones that are really cool?
yeah, as if you go to if you use like Wallpaper Engine, you'll see a lot of these live ones.
Mhm. That's the one through Steam, right?
Yeah, I believe it's a free app that you can get if you have Steam, the application. Same app you can get games on. You can
Yeah, I've
get
seen a
this
lot of people
Wallpaper
use
Engine.
that, and it's pretty cool. Actually, I don't know if it's free. I think my buddy says it costs money, but I think there's also a couple ways to do your own, make your own for free. So,
Hmm.
but I would like to see even an option to like, hey, throw your favorite video into like kind of like a creator and just have it easily. I don't know, like kind of like a just a quick way to make it your background. Just select a video and be like, "Yo, make this my background," and then have you clip it right there with some like Windows tools would be nice.
Yeah, or as Avram Pilch puts it in this article, you can go to Wallpaper Cave to get free wallpapers.
Yeah, that too. There's plenty of options. There's plenty of wallpaper websites out there. You can go and just find some.
Hmm. So continuing on with Tom's Hardware, we got this this
Teenage
PC case.
engineers. Yeah, it's a PC case. Now this is really interesting. It's they haven't done a lot of. I mean, it's your pretty standard small form factor case, but the fact that it's shipped in a flat pack, I think is great. It's revolutionary and it's great for the like just the environment. Like if you think about it, you're saving paper like just from boxing and all that kind of stuff. You're really saving, and the fact that it's a small form factor means that the box is even smaller. Um and it adds kind of to like the whole build it yourself kind of thing.
This case
Oh,
can accommodate a dual shot slot GPU up to 180 millimeters in length. The design is a bit unorthodox, and they're imagining that they tested the thermals for this machine, but the reception for it hasn't been revealed at Tom's Hardware at the time of this piece coming out. The
some people are
computer
saying
one,
it's mirroring the Apple Mac Pro like kind of look with the whole metal exterior and the handles on top. So if you're
uh-huh,
into that, I recommend having a look at this. Okay, here's the size. It's the Mini ITX. That's the size of it. So it's definitely a small form factor.
definitely compared to like the ATX ones that are
Mhm.
more pronounced for mid towers that I would say workers use or like people with different likes use, such as those that are into the digital art, communication, gaming, or just working from home, which yours truly might end up doing down the line. But we'll keep up the reception of this product as we learn more about it going forward.
Well, let's talk about the price for a minute. The case is $195. Do you think that's worth it for small form factor case?
I would have lowered it under $100.
I think it's a little bit pricey, but if you really are about the look and the small form factor, it's not a bad case. I personally want to get it because I like the big chunky cases. Even I think the airflow is better. I don't know. It might just be all in my head, but I don't know. That's just that's just what I also like the look of the bigger cases.
Yeah,
So the price is a little high. I think moving forward though, I think once the price comes down, like and there's like there's clones, there's your knockoffs and your like other companies trying to do the same thing, copy it. I think this is definitely something to keep an eye on.
definitely. So, to reiterate, this is Teenage Engineering's Computer One flat pack PC case. And again, this is you can find this on tomshardware.com or just looking for it on other sites. As so far, this this piece has only had only like how long do you say this has been out to the public for?
Mm, I don't know. I think it's pretty recent.
I'd say probably not even a month.
You're probably right about that.
Because so far the people commenting on this are kind of presumptuous for when Apple sues this company for repeating
Oh, it's probably coming. I know it. They're gonna.
design.
I hope they lose. I hope Apple loses this because this is innovative. The whole flat pack thing. I hope they go far.
And it's Swedish, so this design firm is Swedish, so in a way it's another player potentially coming into the playing field of the PC building community, which I find always be compelling to just have more players into the in the battle royale of technology.
Speaking about the battle royale of technology, let's move into security. Let's talk about this piece. The early bird gets the internet worm.
Yeah, so this piece is kind of overviewing a worm attack, which is similar to a virus, but it replicates hardcore. And it doesn't have to be attached to anything to behave in the way it has to, like a virus does. Like, and this worm was released by a Robert Tappan Morris, who was a grad student at Cornell University in 1988, which kind of shows that only the best minds come from Ivy League schools. No, But he had an idea to create this self-replicating program, or worm, as it's renowned known to be as, onto the internet in an effort to highlight security problems within the university's computer networks, which it served that purpose as they exploited many vulnerabilities in common computer systems as it propagated onto new computers on the internet. Because the worm transferred itself across many different computers around the US as infected computers became overloaded and unresponsive, causing many system administrators to panic amongst this to happen. Because imagine this happening in 1988, because nowadays a worm attack happens and people are like, oh, I just get my antivirus to stop it. But
Hmm.
this is 1988. This isn't even Y2K, where people are freaking out about two zeros happening on dates. This was a guy programming something, or in the 1988's case, he was typing really hard and he just sends this out. And I can imagine the panic because there weren't that many technical experts in computing, excuse me, back then when this was released. And we're approaching actually the 21st anniversary of this being released, coming November 2nd, actually. As once he realized that the spread of this was happening to a great extent, Morris and his Harvard friend emailed information that would help stop this worm from continuing. As but
Now, the
the
original worm was released as an email, right?
yeah,
It was sent out as kind of like was it something for stock markets, right?
yeah, he just wanted to just highlight security problems with computer systems.
But I
And
think
I mean,
the email was sent out as like a fraudulent um survey or something, right?
yeah, that's kind of what the basis of what the initial release of it was, November 2nd of 1988. But as with much things, many people banded together to fight this worm off, disassembling the program and locking down its modes of transmission, which takes a lot of effort. Again, this is again in 1988 when,
Right. There wasn't a lot of security features like there are nowadays. And people weren't as well informed.
no, or even owned a computer yet. So maybe the scope of this wasn't that realized, but that's the greatest extent I can put out about this. But you can look pieces up about this that are on, because this is one of the few pieces about security breaches on the cyberspace world that actually made mainstream news back in 19 back in the late 80s, of course. So back when they actually cared about this stuff. So within 2 days of it worm being released, the worm was largely eradicated, but he was eventually indicted under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act of 1986. And the General Accounting Office issued a report on this worm as to how Morris had succeeded in focusing attention on computer security.
He was sentenced to 400 hours of community service. Did you say he had a $10,000 fine? That's low.
Yeah,
Jeez.
3 years probation. Nearly 20 years after the worm was released now, Morris is now a tenured professor at MIT.
Yeah.
They have no mention of the worm on his website. Not great.
You probably don't want to go spreading around that you were the guy that made that.
Yeah. Now, this is a good retrospective piece as we're both people that took digital security classes and we learned about this in person or remotely,
Hmm.
what have you, about this catastrophe that must have scared a lot of old people back then that were just wanted to use the computers for stock quotes or what, or I don't know. Early internet's very interesting because it was actually the other day I watched a piece on Web 1.0, back when the dot coms were starting to build up, and it's a good piece by Vice News, or Vice rather, not Vice News, that talks about the emergence of dot coms, where people just want to put out a website because they found out that you can do business online, which it sounds mundane to us now because almost every site has an online store, but back then it was revolutionary for like
Yo,
business sites to go
there
like,
used to be wasn't there a guy that lived completely off the internet? Like, he had all his stuff, all his food and everything shipped to him, just I think he did it for, like, a year just to, like, prove a point or something. Like,
I
he
don't
lived completely
know
off the internet.
that name on the offhand, but
Yeah, I don't remember it, but it was crazy because everyone's like, "Oh, you can't do that," 'cause, there wasn't a bunch of there's not like Amazon where you can put out for anything now.
yeah,
So, there was, like, very limited options.
and
Nowadays,
then
you can
some.
order anything, have it shipped to
Well,
your house.
yeah, I can order stuff from clothes to shoes to exercise equipment to just like personalized stuff like jewelry, watches, razors for when every like 3 months when I shave. You know, like grooming stuff as well as stuff for the ladies or other gender identities, what have you, that just need personalized stuff just shipped to them. And the internet's become a good place to just have that, which some people don't like, and it's kind of killed the freaking mortar business in
Yeah.
a way, such as those, especially in the toys industry, which the piece I watched talked about how the dot-com era in the 90s and mid 90s especially killed the attempt at a website by pets.com for venturing pet food into the internet environment, where I guess they put too much resources into marketing. And that's all I'll say about that because you can find this piece by Vice by I guess looking it up on YouTube or just on their own website as well, because I watched it on TV. That's part of the series called The Dark Side of the 90s. So quick shout out to Vice.
Speaking
Back
of the
when
dark side, should we go and hop over to, the group REvil and how the feds took them down with some of their own technology or some of their own hacks?
right, so you can find this story on TheVerge.com, and this is the group that we talked about previously, I believe, in episode 3 or 4, if I'm correct. And it's a REvil group that was behind such leaks such as the Apple leaks, as well as many different ransomware attacks that happened this past summer, which is very telling because I definitely didn't see this covered on mainstream news still. That's why I keep saying TheVerge.com. But yeah, the government, or the U.S. government, I guess, which is amazing because they're usually good at doing nothing.
Yeah.
The entity they hacked the hacking group REvil, which is capital REvil. The entity behind the ransomware attack, again linked to what I've said before, got hacked with own technology. The group's dark web blog, which exposed information gleaned from its targets, is also offline due to that fact. According to a report from Reuters, I guess, the outlet sources at Reuters tell it that the FBI, Secret Service, Cyber Command, and other organizations have worked together to take the group operations offline earlier this month in October. TechCrunch was writing that its own dark website, Tor, was no longer available on Monday of this week, with speculation of a hack fueled by a forum post from one of the group's suspected leaders saying that its server was compromised. But at the time, it was unclear who was responsible, as Reuters cites sources that say government's operation against ransomware hackers, including REvil, is still ongoing as we speak. So, Mike, what's your response to this as the US government, who again is no matter what side you're on, I think the government's renowned for being adverse to cyber warfare. But what's your response to this in general?
Well, if I remember correctly, they used some of their own technology to take them down, right? They the REvil had a backup hidden somewhere, like on the internet, and the U.S. government put like a tracker on it, and as soon as it was reactivated, they got them. They're like, "Oh, we found your database of all." I think it was like a bunch of information that was hacked, right?
Hmm.
And that's something they used in the past to take control of other data or backups. They put their trackers on people's backups online,
And then
and
lock them, keep
mhm,
them from actually looking at them, and then going like, "Ha ha, I got your stuff. Pay me
then
millions
they
of dollars
yeah,
to
then they
get rid
transfer
of
them
it."
for like for whatever Bitcoin or it's usually crypto. So
Yeah. So a lot of ransomware
my
attacks are based around crypto, of course, but
my opinion on this is I think ransomware is kind of like the low end of attacks. I think uh the fact that they're withholding information from was it a meat processor
yeah,
with the main meat processors in the country?
ABS, which is based one of the places based in, I believe, Spain, which is one of the ways America gets most of its meat. And they attack them. This is a very, again, prestigious group, and I'm not saying that to give them honor. I'm saying that as in terms of importance. They were responsible for attacks on JBS, which affected meat processing for America and much other companies, as it's a
This
big seller, Kaseya, TravelX, and Acer, as well as leaking schematics for upcoming MacBooks, which must be upsetting for those 20 i 20 people that still buy MacBooks, I'm not sure.
yeah, I mean, so here's the I think the big problem is the meat processing JBS. I think that attack potentially had uh the
Great
potential
ramifications.
yeah, huge ramifications for the American meat industry. So I think that is one of the worst things that could happen. Like I think this is something that definitely needed to be acted on. So I think the U.S. government's doing a good job as far as getting back at REvil for that. I don't really care if schematics for like a new product come out. I think that could potentially be good for the company if the company is
That's
yeah,
what I learned recently.
some of them leak it on purpose, and I think, like, if your company is using good products or using high quality stuff to make their products, then a leak could benefit them. So I don't feel for Apple on that side of things, but on the whole meat processing side of things, I think that's terrible, and I think that could have caused a lot more harm than it did, and I think has already caused a lot of harm.
Mhm.
So kudos to the U.S. government for actually doing something.
And actually, this isn't even the first time that REvil's gone offline, as I believe we actually covered it here as well, that its website was actually gone from the dark web in July, just a month after FBI said the group was responsible for the JBS attack in June. As it's always possible that this group could come back, as The Verge puts it here. But uh, according to Reuters sources, one of the group's members restored a backup and unwillingly included systems compromised by the law enforcement, as a Russian security expert puts it. So that's ironic. That he told Reuters that infecting backups is one of the tactics used by REvil themselves. So that's just reiterating what you said, Mike, as
Mhm.
sort of like giving them a taste of their own medicine, which I find to be amazing because I don't really, again, personally, I don't see stories of America doing well at hacking because
Yeah.
it's usually
We
by
need to make a push. We need to make a push to do better at securing our hardware, our software, our systems, whatever they are. I think America needs to make a big push in
because
security.
yeah, because it was just the other day I saw a piece about Microsoft working with community colleges to try to get more cybersecurity courses out to lower end communities. after it's seen a great gain in its quarter three earnings. They've put up this initiative actually to I forget how much it is, but it's like over $1 billion+
Well,
of
good
them
on
trying to just put
Microsoft.
programs out for cybersecurity classes at community colleges. Like I don't know, like Lakeland Community College, I would say would be a good example. Tri-C here in Ohio. I don't know what community colleges are in Florida. I would say all of them are community colleges.
Oh, that's that you're
But
hilarious.
I'm
I'm
sorry,
sure
that's
there
mean. That's mean. Sorry.
I'm sure there are colleges besides community colleges in Florida. I just don't know of any. But let's go ahead and wrap it up for today. I want to thank
Yeah.
all of our listeners for coming in and listening. Make sure you guys stay vigilant about all the upcoming news and keep an eye on things.
And don't be afraid to reach out and talk to anyone if you're struggling right now still. There's everyone always has ears. We're born with two of them. So everyone's
Indeed.
able to just give a listen and just hear your story because everyone's story is important. And be sure to like, favorite, share, I don't know,
Yeah, all the
tweet.
socials.
I don't know, tweet this. Put it
Whatever
on
social you're
Pinterest.
on,
Put it
we
on
appreciate
Pinterest.
it.
I don't know. I don't think you can even do that on Pinterest. But stay vigilant, everyone, and we'll see you next time on the Tech IT podcast.
Peace out, guys.
Peace out.